as the night goes on. My name is Chris Kowalski. I oversee the government and community relations at Villanova. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. Sorry. My name is Chris Kowalski. I oversee the government and community relations at Villanova. I'm joined here tonight by a few colleagues, Mary Lou Smith, who serves as our Vice President of Facilities Management, Hallie Ammons, who works with me. Many of you get the emails that she sends out, and Vinny Ciccoli, who is overseeing our Cabrini campus operations. So we're all here to answer as many questions and share with you some of our plans, some of our thinking over the next 15 or so years. So we're here tonight to talk about the university's campus master plan, and some of you who have been coming to these meetings may remember previous presentations. The university and all universities in the township, all big nonprofits, are required to file institutional long-range development plan every 2 years or so. We presented a draft in March 2020, a week before the world shut down, and then we presented an updated draft in March 2023. And those plans are designed to capture the institution's thinking at a period of time. This process is much more deliberate, it's much more thoughtful, it's much longer, and Mary Lou will go into more of the details. So some of the elements you'll see on the campus master plan you may recognize from previous conversations, and some are new thinking as we consider how to maximize our space. But overall, we're here as representatives of Villanova University. We're a stable employer, a really proud member of the Radnor community. We are excited to welcome you and engage with you in lots of different programs and events on campus. We appreciate the feedback that you give us on ways that we impact you in a negative way sometimes, or things that we can do better. And we particularly appreciate the dialogue that's been generated over a number of years. So the last time we did one of these campus master plans, it was when our then new president, Father Peter, had just taken office. I think it was completed in 2008. And here we are 16 short years later. He's still our new president, but excited to be able to look back on what's accomplished and look forward on what's ahead.
Yep. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Lou Smith, as Chris said, and I'm going to walk you through this master plan. As Chris said, we went out to some renowned architectural planning companies to look at our campus and see where we were and where we need to go in the future. And we'll talk about their guiding principles, the key projects that came out of this study, and the Cabrini, as you know, we've acquired Cabrini, and the Cabrini projects that we are working on for the next 2 years. And then finally, I think Chris will take off, or Hallie will finish up with the timeline and our next steps. So the guiding principles that the whole planning process really incorporates everyone on our campus. So, they survey all the groups on campuses, the staff, the faculty, and the students, and they try to get, what people are looking for and where our strengths are and where our weaknesses are. And the whole idea of the guiding principles is to enhance the character of our campus. So, and we want to leverage that character and heritage. So scaling everything, and we have stone all around, and the idea is, do we continue in that fashion or not, and try to enhance that portion of our campus. Also to foster connectivity. This is really awkward. Is to foster connectivity. So from West Campus to Main Campus to South Campus, and how we do that for our students. So we looked at that, right sizing for progress and balance future trajectories. It's just right sizing classrooms and buildings for the students that we have, and the programs that we're going to have in the future. And then prioritizing being on campus. So, that is recreational space for the students, health services buildings, and things that will promote healthy beings on campus, and then to include the community. So the campus vision, this is really awkward too. The campus vision, the idea was to, if you look at all these different colors, the academics, we wanted to have on the perimeter in the main campus. So you see the blue that's around there. And then in the center, it was more to expand on our student experience. And you'll see that we did that with our library and Conley Center's there, our dining hall is there. So trying to keep our student service buildings in that center area, including, our registrar, the financial aid, and those services that serve our students. So the vision was to consolidate and create administrative spaces, and you can see that, oops, that's the wrong one, sorry. So we were looking at, again, here's the center of campus, which was the area that we would like to enhance the student experience. And you can see that with also the Commons, South Campus, West Campus, and these areas out here. The administrative areas we were looking at, possibly you can see with Aldwin 1 and Aldwin 2, which is now Riley Hall, and Aldwin 1 will be renamed shortly. But that is really where we have a lot of administrative spaces, kind of taking them onto the fringe of our campus. Then the athletic facilities, you can see there is the stadium, or is that this? This is Pike Field Stadium area, and then this is the soccer fields over on West Campus. And when we get through some of this, you'll see why we highlighted these specific areas. We also wanted to improve our gateway. So right here at Lancaster Avenue and Ithan, try to improve the South Campus entrance to that area, maybe a guard shack there, and to tie the campuses together. So that would be the entry and arrival. And then identify opportunities for future growth. So after all of this, the core projects that came out of this study was, if you look in the yellow, these would be new buildings or additions. So the first one, it's up at Tollentine, we're looking at, that is a classroom building and it's a administrative hub there, and we would like to increase the size of that to have more like a commons area. If you've been on campus and seen our Drozdek Hall, it's an academic building with research in it, but there is this center core in there that allows students to kind of study and collaborate together. We've come before you before and shared with you how a lot of our buildings, when they were built for exactly the function that they were. So if it was a resident hall, we had dorm space. There were no lounges, there was no area for students to kind of hang. They had a 10 by 12 room, and that's what it was. And if it was a classroom building, there were classrooms. There wasn't a lot of space in there for students to kind of congregate before class or after class. So what we're trying to build is that third room in some of our spaces so that our students have a place to go and congregate, and not just in our student center. So that's the purpose of some of this. And I'm going to go to that. So what came out of that is this addition here, and to create a STEM, use this Tollentine to increase our STEM presence on campus. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Thank you. And I'm an engineer. And then the other building that we're looking at building would be a welcome center. So currently we have our admissions facility is across the bridge, and it's in one of these smaller buildings. So we'd like to have a presence on Lancaster Avenue for welcoming our families to come to this Welcome Center slash bookstore. So when we built the library, we demolished Kennedy Hall, which was a student support area, and it had a bookstore in it, and we moved the bookstore to Springmill Road in St. Mary's, which is it's a nice bookstore, but it's a little remote from campus. So what would make the most sense is to have it located on Lancaster Avenue. It kind of helps with the traffic coming in, at the right turn in, right turn out off of Lancaster Avenue, and then it can leave through St. Thomas Way. So it really, it prevents traffic from going to the main campus and to, kind of minimize some of the traffic impacts at Ithan and Route 30. Another one of the new proposed buildings would be a monastery. Our monastery behind here is really a place for the Augustinians to go to rehab and to be for a while. They live there, but the numbers of Augustinians is dropping, as many of you know that in most religious orders. So we're looking at repurposing the monastery and creating a home for them that would still be on campus. So this is the idea, to have the monastery on campus. We still want to have a presence of the Augustinians because it is a Catholic university founded by the Augustinians. And Falvey Library, which again, we have Vic Magidi Hall, which is the new library. So old and new Falvey, which are the existing library buildings, we want to repurpose, and we'll repurpose those as student buildings. So right now, the students use Doherty Hall for their club space or their different activities, and we would grow that into Falvey, which is right over here, and renovate that. This building needs a renovation. The next one would be the athletic facilities. So here you see, this is Jake Nevin, which we wouldn't do anything to it except for improve the interior of it and the exterior of it. This is also a 6, which is an athletic facility. Right at the stadium, you see the press box on one side. We'd like to mirror that on the other side. It would help support some of the administrative space that we need for athletics. The demand for student to administrative ratio has grown in the years with Title IX and all the requirements that are needed for our student athletes. So it's not that you're growing student athletes, you're just the support that is there to support them. And then I think there's one over here. Is there on West Campus on this? No. These are the core projects. And then the renovations are existing buildings on campus that just need to be renovated. Mendel, if anyone knows that, Chem Engineering, Whitehall, John Barry, Doherty, our facilities building, and Donahue, which is South Campus Dining Hall. So, so it is not.
The question is the library going to stay as the library and be a student center? I'm just repeating the question for the recording.
Oh, sorry. No, it will be a student center. The new library will be Vic Magidi Hall, which is in the center of campus being constructed today, and that would be, is that right here? Right there.
Next to the St. Augustine Center or no?
So St. Augustine Center is there, and then there's the SAC garage or M2 garage, and this is the new library, which was Kennedy Hall. Exactly. Okay. So they're the core projects that we're looking at, we're proposing to undertake. Then there are landscape projects. So, our campus landscape architect looked at our campus, and we have a lovely campus, but there are some, they noticed stuff around the fringes that could be softer and tie everything together. So they suggested a few landscape projects, which I think I shared with you the first one, which is South Campus, and that is really, a lot of it is to tie it into main campus. So it's to bring the pavers in, it's to have the, you know, the Gothic lights over there, which we started to do that in renovations over the summers. And it's also to provide a guard shack over there, because it's the one part of our campus that really doesn't have someone, you know, a presence of our public safety officers. They're over there, but they should be in a guard shack, and we're looking at doing something for them there. The gateways, this says 2, that's Ithan and Route 30, and the idea of this is to really take the Villanova sign and kind of take all 4 corners to make them look like this is the entrance to Villanova, and we will take Ithan Avenue and put a verge down the center of it. So the idea is maybe to take the 6-foot wrought iron fences down, make them maybe 4 feet, because we really don't want students crossing, but we would put more landscape there and then put a verge in the middle of the road to slow traffic down and to have it be a nicer view as well. So, and it would probably discourage people from crossing the street. I'm sorry, this is just terrible, me speaking to. West Campus over here, and I think as you will see, I'll show you some, actually I should probably, this is what we're talking about for Ithan Avenue and 30. So this is the existing corner here, and what we'd like to do is transform that corner to have an entrance into North Ithan Avenue. We would try to mimic the same thing on South Ithan. I don't have a rendering of that right now, but that's the idea, is there would be a verge on that side as well, to just tie the entire campus in as one campus and not as main campus, South Campus, and West Campus. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's where you have an island curb, and it'd be landscaping in the middle of the road. They will not be widened, they'll actually shrink a bit. So it's proportional. Let me show you a picture of it. So it would be something like this.
But it would still be a through street.
Yes. What about left-hand turn traffic? There would still be left turn traffic there, or left turn. So this is what we're looking for right there. Yes, and that's North Ithan. Yes.
The question is, were studies on current traffic done?
Yes. Yes. Once we get to that point, but it has been done for sure. Meaning, as we pursue the project further.
Will the verge be on Ithan Avenue and Lancaster, or only on Ithan?
No, just on Ithan.
Both sides?
Yes. Yes.
And again, this is an idea. We have a long way to go before any of this becomes a reality, including many public meetings. So again, this is a series of thoughts and proposals.
A proposed project.
And we're grateful for any feedback, but I don't want the thinking to be like this is
a
bulldozers are coming
done.
tomorrow.
Right.
Plan, right?
Exactly. And this is the other gateway we were talking about over at the train station, is just trying to literally bring the pavers over there, some landscape to tie it into main campus and South Campus and West Campus.
So this is a good example of really how this is just an idea. So, you know, this is not our land. We have a great relationship with SEPTA. They lease the property from Amtrak. The road is kind of where those tables are, but the idea is to illustrate how we would like to activate that area, which is becoming a gateway to our West Campus and from West Campus to the main campus. So it's not going to, if we do something there in partnership with SEPTA and Amtrak, it won't necessarily look exactly like this, but you get a sense for what we're trying to do to tie things together.
And then there's a lot of decision projects. So when Chris says that this is over the next 15 years, this is what he means. So some of the decision projects that came out of the meeting with our different departments and groups on campus were the needs for West Campus Recreation Center and St. Mary's renovation. So the Recreation Center is probably no longer on this decision list because we purchased Cabrini, and Cabrini has a really beautiful recreation space that we can use to support this need on our campus. But at the time, we were not purchasing Cabrini, we were doing this study. So, and then the West Campus housing infill. So again, this is in the future, it's an opportunity, whoops. In the future, see these infills? This courtyard area is very large on both of these quads that we have on West Campus. And this is to get a few more beds on this side and this side. We're really trying to keep our students on campus. Our seniors, after we built the Commons, it wasn't enough beds because we knew that they would come and they would like it, but the seniors now want to be back on campus and to stay, as do their parents want them. So this is an opportunity in the future to provide these infills and keep them on campus. And if we were to do that, we would also like to create a dining hall for them over there so that they, just to lighten the load of main campus and to create their own community over there.
How many students do you anticipate putting in infills?
The question is how many students would go there?
I think it's like, you know what, I don't have the exact number, but I think it's under 200. It's not a lot, it's kind of just an infill to that area. And over there right now are, is it 1,200 students? Yeah, 1,200 students are on West Campus.
When you say an infill, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I actually thought you were talking about plants.
Bill, it would be
The question
buildings.
is clarifying what infill is.
It would be additions to those existing buildings. So if you look here, this right there, that L is a building, and that is a building. We would put an addition inside there to fill it in.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So it won't be additional buildings out beyond what's already there. It'll be,
Infilled within that quad area, yes.
okay, thank you.
Sure, we're just trying to use the space we have.
The question is if we're planning to increase undergraduate enrollment. That's probably a question to come up when we talk about Cabrini. As Mary Lou said, when we began this master planning process, we were trying to figure out the best way to use our existing campus to support the existing enrollment. During the course of this planning, we had the opportunity to acquire Cabrini, which we did, and that allows us to address some unmet need as far as applications go. There are a couple recent media articles which outlined some current thinking, and we do anticipate increasing undergraduate enrollment by approximately 1,000 students over the course of a number of years, not starting for another year or two. 900 of those will live on the Cabrini campus. So in years past, when the questions were asked about enrollment, it was always in the context of our existing campus. We didn't have a Cabrini to think about. But with Cabrini Online now, it provides us some flexibility to add some students to our population.
And then if you look at number 4, that would be athletic facilities. And if you look at West Campus, so this is our soccer field. And the Higgins Pavilion that they're talking about here is really a support storage building for soccer equipment and soccer and the soccer team. So it's nothing large, it's just a support building. Pike Field is the same way. If you look over here on Pike Field, there is, we have storage, and we're trying to create a space that we get plenty of parents that come a few, maybe 6 or 7 games a year, and we're just trying to make it a better space over there. So that is another decision project for athletic facilities. Another project that we looked into is right here. It's number 5, and it is it's a garage that would be shared with SEPTA. So it's the SEPTA lot over there that we would build a garage over there and possibly have retail underneath it. Now that's, again, I would say a long time out because it's not just owned by SEPTA, isn't it owned by Amtrak?
Yeah, the land is actually owned by Amtrak. And so even to explore this conversation to see if it's a possibility, you have to go through a significant amount of steps on Amtrak's side before they'll even entertain the conversation. And so for us, as we're looking to add space to all these projects, adding space comes with adding parking. And so trying to find ways to satisfy the township's parking requirement, we have to be as thoughtful as possible about where that parking might go. So in this area, we already have a parking structure, and there is already surface parking for SEPTA. It presented an opportunity to at least have a conversation about what might be possible there that could serve both of our needs. So long way to go on that one, but that is something that we could be exploring down the road.
Thanks, Chris. And then the last one on that list of the decisions would be an indoor practice facility, which is a very, very large facility that we would not put on our campus, and we would look for a place off campus to do that. So that, I think that is, and so, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, did I notice on the last slide that you were thinking of an amphitheater to the left of the library?
The question was,
Yes,
is
so
there
that
an amphitheater
amphitheater-
envisioned closer to the library?
Oh, thanks, sorry. The amphitheater, yes, we were looking at an amphitheater that would come outside of the front of the SAC building. So it's perfect. It's a perfect area for an amphitheater. It's been discussed for many, many years, and it is one of the projects that we have on our list as an opportunity if we move forward with that. Exactly. There is. It won't be a gigantic amphitheater, but it would be an amphitheater that could be used for outdoor teaching as well as, you know, any kind of presentations. So yes, that maybe. That's a big undertaking. Yeah.
So the questions
Because
are
of
about
the-
the location of this and what it would be used for.
It was, that location was selected because of the grades there. It really lends itself to that kind of an area outside. You know, it has that big bowl, and it would be kind of a natural there. And it's on main campus, so, you know, we try to be thoughtful of neighbors and not, you know, being intrusive or loud or those things. And this would be kind of a really nice spot in the center of campus that could be used also for instruction from the different academic buildings around there. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Cabrini and what our visions are for Cabrini and the strategy that we're implying.
Before Mary Lou goes too far down this path, I do want to note we have a separate meeting for neighbors to talk just about Cabrini scheduled for next week, next Wednesday, the 20th at 7 p.m. It's at the Dixon Center. We've mailed invitations to the households around campus, but certainly anyone is welcome. We'll cover mostly this information and probably get into a little bit more detail over there, so all are welcome to that as well.
One more question about main campus. I noticed that they have
Fencing? So that is
The question is the blue fencing at the corner of Ithan and Lancaster.
He's great, isn't he? He's not even smiling.
Just doing my job.
Yeah, you are doing a very good job, too. That fencing is up there because we are installing a second elevator in Bartley Hall, our business building. So that is just lay-down area for the contractors, and that should be down by the end of January at the latest.
One other question.
Okay?
I've noticed that those beautiful trees that are on campus, beechwoods going down Lancaster Pike, look like they're sick.
The beech woods going down Lancaster Pike look like they're sick, Mary Lou.
No, I'm kidding. The ones before you get to the church, I think one of them is sick. Yeah, I do think that there is one sick one, but beech trees, as I've learned, they have an odd way of, like, when it gets cold, like they look like they're dying, but they actually aren't dying. And I'm now being recorded, so this is going to be like I am an arborist, and I'm not. So I probably shouldn't be answering this question, but I do know that one of them is sick because we were looking at that just recently. Any other questions about main campus?
I have a related tree question. Maybe it's just part of conception. I feel like I've noticed with all the activity and changes near the chapel and those fields, got a lot of trees disappearing. And on the artist conception, the whole walk on the north side of Lancaster there, from South Dyson to Sproul, is almost naked of trees right by the sidewalk. That sidewalk, especially in high sun, can be a very brutal walk in direct sun. And I'm just wondering if that's really what you're planning or if that's just kind of incidental to.
The question is, are we planting more trees, addressing lack of trees in certain areas, or is the drawing just a conception?
What drawing are we talking about?
It was the one you were on right there. The one you were on when I was talking.
Oh,
And there are almost no shade trees along, I mean, actually you can't even see the sidewalk, but the sidewalk on the north side of Lancaster between Ithan and Sproul Road, almost no shade trees along the fence there.
okay. I think you're right about that. I don't think that that's, no.
I would recommend more trees there for the shade for people walking.
We'll consider that because we
Recommendation
do
is more
have to.
trees for shade along the sidewalk
Yeah.
on Lancaster Avenue.
Walk sometimes in right sun.
And that, should we do this Ithan Avenue and Route 30 Gateway, we will probably have to do something with that north side to increase some of that, move the right-of-way a little bit, which would lend to us planting trees.
It just looks kind of like hot and brutal on those days.
Okay, noted. I will talk to our team. All right. Villanova, go to Cabrini.
Go to Cabrini.
All right. So maybe I should go back here. So this is the Cabrini campus. It's 113 acres, and but 55 usable acres. So you can see in this area here that's outlined, that's the area that is usable for Cabrini.
Hold on, Mary Lou, there's a
I'm sorry.
question from Lynn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Orienting
Sorry.
the map.
Okay. So this is King of Prussia Road, and this is
Eagle.
Eagle Road.
And
that's-
Upper Gulf.
Oh, Upper Gulf, right there. So main entrance, but this is probably the entrance you know best. Would you come in this way? You got that? Okay. So this is the campus, and if you look at the yellow buildings, these are the resident halls on the campus, and these are the academic buildings in red, not Royman's. I'm not sure why that's red, but it's red. This is the library right there. This is the mansion, and this is Grace Hall, which is, I believe it's a multi-purpose building right now. And then this is the Dixon Center, the athletic facility. Our plans are to use these buildings as they are intended now, but to update them and to bring program over to this campus. So what we're focusing on is modernizing the campus buildings by upgrading the IT infrastructure, fire alarm, security access systems, all to align with Villanova systems. We're addressing deferred maintenance in these buildings, and we're renovating the residence halls to be more, where there's some tired interiors, we're upgrading those aesthetics along with the standardizing or modernizing the buildings. And then the academic buildings, which you see right here, and the library, we are looking at programming them with Villanova programs. So this Iadarola has a little bit of a nursing area in there, and it has chemistry classrooms and biology classrooms. And we will be using those chemistry classrooms as is, and we're looking at moving maybe a program over there and also using the nursing as is and enhancing it a bit to meet with what we do here at Villanova. And over here, we will be moving a couple programs over there to use classroom space and to upgrade the dining hall in there to support the students that will be on campus. This building right here, Grace Hall, being a multi-purpose room right now, our multi-purpose building now, will become a student center. So it'll have food options in there and areas for students to go for club meetings and working together and just making it a student center. I think that there'll even be a little bit of a shop in there, won't there? Okay. Not majors, but programs. So right now, nothing is 100% or been defined by Villanova. We're in process of looking at that. For example, we've looked at psychology, we've looked at ethics, we've looked at different areas that could be at these two buildings, and to move some of their classrooms over to this campus. The goal is to use this campus as a university as it was intended. It is not to just put students over here and then have them come back and forth to Villanova. Although there will be a shuttle that will do that, the idea is that we could shuttle students from main campus to Cabrini campus and vice versa, Cabrini to main campus. So, and that will not be the name of main campus will not be main campus. Okay, we're working on that one too.
One of the things our team learned when they were visiting other schools that have multiple campuses is that it's important to not use the word main.
Right.
So we're in the process of figuring out what the new reference is going to be. So for our sake this evening, it's easier to refer to the current campus as main
because
campus.
you know it that way.
But to Mary Lou's point, the idea is to make sure that there is activity between both campuses. We want students from main campus to go to Cabrini and vice versa. Our goal is to make sure that the destinations are attractive for that, not just because they have to go to class, but because they want to use the study space or they want to go to the food options, or certainly the Dixon Center as a recreation space is better than anything that we have. And Mary Lou mentioned the residence halls as well. The way that the rooms are designed, it's more conducive probably to a sophomore and maybe a junior. So that's probably the age group that we're targeting. But our residence life staff is very excited. While there's a lot of deferred maintenance and certainly work that needs to be done, the layout of the residence halls, the way the rooms are designed with the suites and the kitchens and the hangout space, the windows, the light, it's very desirable. So we want to be hitting the ground running in the fall of 2026 when we open, and have students excited about being there. So that's the goal and part of this work that's being described. Did you have a
Yeah.
question?
Will the Cabrini name be retained in any respect? For instance, that might be the Cabrini campus of the University of Villanova, or can it be retained in some other way?
Is the
It-
Cabrini name going to be retained on that campus?
Yes, it is going to be Villanova Cabrini campus.
So no additional building, just renovation of the existing.
At this time, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, there is no vision for any new construction. Mary Lou, in full disclosure, there is a high likelihood that three smaller, older buildings that have not been used will be taken down. They're not historic. They're not in our plans, but there is no plan right now to put anything in its place. Back there.
The field there, do anybody field hockey there?
The question is about how the turf or the sports field is used.
Yes, I think that's how they used it. We will be using it for intramurals, and at this time, we're not upgrading it immediately. We have it in the deferred maintenance of 3 to 5 years, but we will be replacing that field.
I know right now you field hockey team plays out in Township Hawken.
And they still will.
Yeah,
Yes.
The field hockey team will still play where it currently is
Yeah.
playing in Conshohocken.
We're trying to make this a place where our students can enjoy it and use it, for intramurals, for club sports, but it's not going to be for, the varsity sports.
You had seen in a couple of the core projects and decision projects, there were some athletic resources that were envisioned. It's important, it has been an important goal currently at Villanova to identify more places for our students to be able to engage in sports and recreational activities. We've sort of creeped into that. There are buildings where fields used to be. And so we're certainly conscious of that, and the opportunity to use the resources here as they are to support that function, not varsity sports, but for our general student population, is very exciting to us. So we're looking forward to that.
I think you mentioned earlier, if I understood you correctly, that perhaps 900 undergraduates would be on the community campus. What percentage of those 900, if any, would be allowed to bring their cars to campus?
That hasn't been determined yet. I think there's a couple of things at play. There's 900 beds there, and we hope to have 900 students in those beds. I don't think there's a likelihood that they all bring their cars, because no matter what they do there, there's no place for them to park at Villanova. Parking does not exist for those students. So if students were allowed to bring their cars, I would envision a very likely scenario where their cars would have to stay there for at least the peak parts of the day. But that is still to be determined. Yes.
Bus system that's going to go from Villanova, where will they go? All the way up to Lancaster Pike, or will they cut down by elementary school and something like that?
The question is the routing that the shuttles will take. So we envision two routes that will cover some of the same ground. They will use the King of Prussia Road entrance and the area by the parking garage that's up at the top of the hill as the terminus at Cabrini. And then at Villanova, we envision two stops, one on the main part of campus near the pedestrian bridge, and that route will go all the way out King of Prussia Road to Lancaster Avenue, and up Lancaster Avenue. And then the other route is envisioned to terminate at the regional rail station on West Campus. So that will come down King of Prussia Road, turn onto Madison Ford, and up County Line.
How many buses do you think you're going to be running each day?
I don't have that information, but it'll be regular bus service, since the idea is we.
100
No, well, there'll be buses running on a regular basis. It's an efficient way to get them back and forth. At the height of Cabrini, there were 2,000 students there, plus employees. As they were winding down, there were over 1,000. the traffic will still be less than that overall. But we were conscious of the impact of shuttle buses on the roads when choosing the routes. So we were careful to not encourage any planning around going through neighborhoods. There will be city-style buses.
So, King of Prussia will be for both routes, yes, as opposed to for both the county line, Madison Ford?
Correct.
Correct.
King of Prussia Road will be used all or in part for both routes. Correct. One will continue on to Lancaster and one will turn left onto Madison Ford. You want to go through these last couple of elements, Mary Lou?
Well, we talked about transforming the multipurpose building. And then the last thing would be we have engaged with an architect to put together a campus landscape master plan. So like we said before, we want this to be a destination for our students and for our students to be excited to go there and to be there. So we are looking at ways to kind of make a wow impact for the students. I don't know if many of you have been on Cabrini's campus, but there is a mansion, and in front of that behind that mansion is a beautiful field and an area for students to congregate. And so we would try to have maybe barbecues on a Friday night or something like that, just to make it something that would be exciting for them. We're looking at putting in a walking/running trail around the campus, similar to what Haverford has. We are also looking at, we have fire pits on our campus now. We're looking at maybe something that would be more permanent for students to sit around. And in addition to that, just kind of, again, tying our campus into Cabrini campus with the brick pavers, you know, and just updating the landscape at Cabrini. You know, redoing all the blacktop and asphalt around campus. So some deferred maintenance over there. And I think Vinny is in the middle of, with our grounds crew, of clearing out some dead trees, which seems like a lot of trees on campus that are being removed, but a lot of it is, if you were to drive up those driveways, you see dead trees lying down. So they're cleaning up the area, so when you do arrive, it's not quite, I'm trying to use
Unkempt.
no, well, woodsy. I was thinking more like scary. So we are really trying to clean it up. And that's, oops.
So the barbecue field would be across from the Dixon Center, is that the one you're referring to?
No, it would actually be, it's the
The
mansion,
question was where the barbecue area would be located.
not that field. We're talking about the mansion. What's the? Right.
Front lawn of the mansion is where it would be
Yes.
located.
All right. And there's like some other proposed ideas. We haven't zeroed in on which projects we're going to do, but these are some of the ideas of what we're looking at. And then as a result of this Cabrini project, we recognize that students will be on our campus. So they'll come, a lot of students will stay for the day before they leave, or they'll be there for a few hours at a time. And it's another situation where we see that third room isn't big enough on our campus. So Conley Center is one of the projects that there would be an expansion as a result of that. Not a very large expansion, but enough to get more seats and places for students to come and eat. We're also going to renovate Conley to support, you know, these students as well as our own students. It hasn't been updated in a number of years. It's been well maintained, but the food concepts have been the same for a long time, so we're going to probably update those this summer. And then Doherty Hall. There is, we want to renovate Doherty Hall as well to support the additional students that will be coming back and forth from Cabrini that will need a dining hall for. So these are just some of the expansions on campus as a result of this, which is very kind of minor. It's those two. Yes.
On the new campus, on Cabrini campus, would be a fitness center for the students that are in
The question was whether there would be a fitness center at the Cabrini campus.
Yes, there is the Dixon Center there, which is a lovely recreation center that our students will be able to use.
And, so around here, when you live near Villanova, you can be like friends of Villanova. Will you kind of make a similar type of system with like friends of Cabrini, people that live near Cabrini? Still Villanova, but Cabrini campus?
The question is if the Friends of Villanova program will be extended over there, and that is our goal. We have been talking about that internally. We still have some programming to do to figure that out, but we want to, and Cabrini had a program like that. I think they charged more than Villanova did, but they had a program like that, and we'd like to continue that and continue the opportunities to be engaged on campus like we have at Villanova. So that's what we're working toward. All right, so our next steps. So,
I'm sorry.
oh, sure.
Is there any plans in the future potentially to do something at Eastern University?
No plans, not certainly that I'm not aware of. This is a lot. We're busy. Mary Lou's busy. Vinny's busy. Certainly, this addresses a lot of needs. Nothing has come up that I'm aware of. So this is what we're focused on. So next steps. We've talked to you about a lot of ideas. Some of those ideas are going to move forward at a pace that is quicker, and many of them will move at a pace that is slower. As I mentioned, our immediate next step is to meet with the neighbors of Cabrini next week. Again, all are welcome. And then we envision doing a specific neighbors meeting to discuss the Welcome Center and Bookstore, which would be located near the bridge over the street, St. Thomas Way, potentially. And then the Ithan Avenue Gateway that we talked about. We hope to have updated renderings, get into a little bit more detail about our thinking there, certainly talk about the traffic counts that have been done, get some thoughts and feedback on some specific ideas. And then also really talk about a possible Aldwin Lane realignment. Mary Lou, if you could go back to the previous slide. So this is one of the things that we talked about in our long-range development plan the last couple of times we presented. This would be a partnership between the township, the community, and Villanova, but this is Aldwin Lane right here. It goes under the high-speed line tracks and comes out at this intersection. This intersection needs a lot of improvement, and so one of the ideas that's come up is to reroute Aldwin Lane either behind our existing building and have it come out into Sproul Road right here on the north side of the train tracks, or on this side of the train tracks on SEPTA land. So we want to dig into that a little bit more with the community and talk about what that might look like, get some thoughts. And we envision that meeting happening in early to 2025 or even next month. The real driver of that is the Welcome Center. But if we're going to talk about that over there, we should talk about the other things. And then in early 2025, at a time to be determined, we're going to do a similar presentation like this to the full Board of Commissioners. So this information will be brought up in public again. And then as each project comes up, especially for the bigger ones, we'll be going through the township process, land development. If anything requires zoning, we'll be going before the zoning hearing board. Anytime we do anything like that, we'll have a neighbors meeting in person to talk about that, give everybody a chance to see the plans, ask questions. And so, long way to go, but we wanted to at least share our thinking for some possibilities for the future of Villanova.
I know you've already discussed this, but would you review once again the concept of the Ithan Avenue Gateway?
Sure.
Also, where's the bookstore in there? Taking down those houses?
No.
Okay, so first things first, the question was just go over again what the Ithan Avenue Gateway might do. And so these are existing conditions. As Mary Lou said, we're standing sort of in front of the Mullen Center, and that's a nice corner, and then across from that is the Commons where the refectory is, and that's a nice corner. But you look across the street, and the sign's nice, but there's not a lot of room there for students to gather and get ready to cross. And then the corner in front of Nevin Fieldhouse, similar challenges. So, and then when you come down Ithan Avenue, this is actually a dated picture. This fence is still here. I think it extends. It creates a chute, especially if you're coming to a basketball game. You're pressed between this parking lot and this fence. And then there's a fence on the other side of the street. And it's all there designed to disincentivize, well, to eliminate jaywalking. It creates a dangerous pedestrian vehicle interaction. So we were thinking about ways where you could create more of a gateway to the campus and improve the look and feel of this street while also minimizing mid-block pedestrian crossings. So Mary Lou was describing this verge in the middle, this planted strip. We would envision maybe a small fence in there. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, and on both sides. Yes, and on both sides of the street, but they would be, I mean, this landscaping is not what we would probably put in there. However, it's the idea that, you know, looking at the fencing is not very attractive, but it does serve a great, or welcoming, but it does serve a really important purpose. So what we'd like to do is incorporate it, but kind of dress up around it so that it looks more welcoming and more like part of our campus.
And these planting elements, both on the curb line and in the middle, theoretically would be carried over on the other side of Lancaster Avenue on South Ithan Avenue, approximately to the end of the parking garage, for the same purposes. Gateway feel, disincentivized pedestrian crossings, and that's the thinking about that.
Yes.
The road narrows there. At the PNW bridge, you can't go too much farther than that. Yes, sir.
Potentially consider maybe shutting the road down for basketball games. I went to 2 games last week, both times, both sides, very crowded right there. Like, there are not that many cars, just a lot of people. I mean, cars have to drive through there all the time.
Yeah, it does get, the police do control access to that street, usually post-game. And then the driveway to the Finner. The question was, would it just be closed during games and big events? And there's already some of that going on. We contemplated the idea of just closing it to through traffic, but that presents a lot of logistical challenges for people who are in the area. You know, if you're trying to get to Lancaster Avenue, you're either going to Spring Mill or Lowry's or Airedale, and it doesn't really address the train trestle that's at the intersection of Ithan and County Line right behind the pavilion. So we think this will be helpful. Events and game days are always going to be their own thing, and we rely on working with Radnor Township Police to manage the traffic there. We have a special event circulation plan that contemplates that, so that the traffic goes certain ways, especially after the game. But certainly happy to reevaluate that as we continue the planning. Yes, sir.
Can you explain the Alderman Lane?
Yep.
What's that, Lancaster Avenue, Alderman Lane?
Yeah, the question was, again, about the Aldwin Lane realignment, proposed realignment. So again, this is just an idea. We would need a lot of help and partnership to actualize that. But here we are at the intersection of 320 and 30. Kenilworth comes out right here, and Aldwin comes out right here. Very complex intersection. The light cycles don't work well for anybody. Traffic backs up a lot. If you're coming out of Aldwin Lane, if you're that third car, that light's probably pink as you're getting through the intersection. So is there a way to take it off of the cycle, which would improve the overall performance of the intersection, while also maintaining this neighborhood's access to get out? And would it work to do that here? There are some sightline considerations with the train bridge, and then you're far enough back, but still pretty close to this intersection. So what does that look like? Can you make left turns in? Can you make left turns out? Or maybe you work over here in SEPTA's right away, and there's more room to do that there. So we have some work to do. We have some surveying work to do. But if you take it off of this cycle, then that improves the intersection. If we were to swap land, then the institution's traffic circulation can be all internal. Right now, this is a very full administrative building. This is where our fundraising office is. There's a driveway here, a driveway here, so you have cars driving in and out of 320. We have internal circulation all the way up to here, but if we could just keep everybody in here, close off these curb cuts, then that would keep the Villanova traffic sort of away from that intersection. We'd come in either through this right turn in, right turn out, or through St. Thomas Way. So, concept would work for us, might work for the intersection, but it would have to work really for this neighborhood back here. I'm pretty sure they'd want to maintain their full access. You know, it's as bad as this is, you can still get in and out. So you'd want to be able to maintain that. It is complicated, but it's worth a conversation. Yes. Do you want to talk about that? So the question is the location of the bookstore.
Can you get to? All right. So what we would do there is use the parking lot that's there for visitors now. That would be part of this building site. And then Moriarty, which is a resident hall, we would demolish that and use that as part of the site. We don't have to take down the white building. And again, I don't know what's going to happen with these buildings in the future. We could be taking them down just because they're very old buildings and not very efficient, and they might go into TSB, which is now pretty vacant. So there are areas for them to go. We would probably, if we do surface parking, we may have to take down a couple of those smaller buildings just to have surface parking to support the bookstore and the Welcome Center. So we're trying to make it a good experience as well for, you know, any visitors coming. We don't want them to feel like they can't park near that area and would have to park somewhere else.
So I understand your question because the houses aren't shown here.
Yeah.
That was not intentional. What is shown here is a parking structure. As Mary Lou said, you know, we're bringing our visitors here. We want to make sure that we have parking for them. Does that mean that a parking structure goes there? Not necessarily. But as I said, every time we add space, we have to contemplate adding parking. So it makes sense to do it here, and that's going to be part of the conversation when we move forward with the project.
What do you use the Keating building for right now?
The question was, what do we use the Keating building for?
That would be our TSB building. And we have right now, the Bursar is in there. We used to have our technology group in there. And since we took back Aldwin 1 and 2, we've moved our technology group over to that renovated building, which shortly will be named something else.
So do you envision at some point, like Moriarty Hall is going to be torn down, like a bookstore? There's still like two other old buildings along there.
3 or 4, actually, yeah.
3 or 4, and then you hit Keating. But you
Mhm.
envision at some point just knocking it all down
The-
and completing what you started with the Commons and just going all the way down to Aldwin 1 and 2.
Question is there a contemplation of taking down all the buildings between?
It certainly is a possibility, but I don't see it for a long time.
Question back there?
Parking for mass.
Parking for mass.
So we would address that through this process, and my guess is that we would try to use main campus, not try, we would use main campus. And if you recall, when we built the visitors parking lot, we did not have as much parking on main campus, so that's why we kept the visitors lot. But we now, through the Drosdick Hall addition, have created, I forget how many, but it's a lot more spots on main campus close to the church. So,
Drosdick Hall is the name for our new College of Engineering. This is the building that just opened right here. So the parking right here has been redone, And there are some additional spots.
all along that road.
But your question is, what
Where?
about parking for church? And that is a part of this consideration as well. We're not, Parish will be a partner in this conversation with this project too.
Absolutely.
You briefly touched on, I think it's on a longer term plan about some kind of building on Pike Field.
The question is, we referenced a building on Pike Field.
It was a support building for the softball field. So it wasn't really, can you get,
Yeah. It's
see
not-
that little yellow thing? It's on the first base side. So it would be really over there to support softball. It wouldn't be any, it's a small building that may have bathrooms in it. Honestly, that's what it's really. There are no bathrooms over there, so we use porta potties all the time. So it's really just that kind of a function, not an office building, not a place for people to habitate, during the day. It's really for practicing and games.
Question right here? The question is, how big do we envision the bookstore being?
Still very conceptual, but bless you, but based on zoning and the area that we don't envision it being larger than 25,000 square feet. So it will not be very big. It will not be greater than 2 stories.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say who's going to be parking in that parking garage that you're working on right now? Where county line comes in?
The question is, who's going to be parking in the garage that's under construction right now
Bless you.
on Ithan Avenue near our main entrance? I don't
I'm not
know.
Linda
Yeah.
Lindy.
That is being used, so it's replacing a parking garage. We're adding number of spaces. It serves the folks that work on that side of campus. It serves events that happen in the athletic complex. I don't know that we fully envisioned who's going to be assigned there when it's done, but it's going to certainly replace a lot of parking that was in need of replacement where folks parked there before.
I think the thought process when we built that garage was we definitely wanted to replace the existing garage because it was not in such great shape. And it was an opportunity to go up a level if we could, because from a sustainability standpoint, we want to take less footprint of the ground and kind of build up if we can. And we were able to do that and are grateful for that. I think we have added 110 parking spaces, which will be good for events. It'll be just good to have surplus on campus, should we need it. And when we finish that garage, there'll be some green space, so it won't be quite as, as a concrete area.
Any other questions? Certainly we'll be here if anybody wants to talk more informally.
Thank
Okay.
you all for coming out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.